I've been traveling the province for the past 6 weeks. And although my riding is in Nepean, that's where I live in Ottawa, I've not been home a lot. I felt that it was necessary as the Minister responsible for heritage, sport, tourism and culture industries to start traveling the province as we safely and gradually reopened our economy. And I did so because, as Sam mentioned, I think I am responsible for something that's called a spectacular double bottom line. This museum actually typifies all of that. First of all, we represent and we support and we enhance the cultural fabric of the province of Ontario, meaning it's our job to make sure that we preserve and protect the cultural identity of what it means to be an Ontarian, and that comes from many different ways. It comes from this historical society letting us see some very important pieces from our history. It's supporting the cultural attractions and events and festivals like the Shaw Centre and also multicultural events. It also encourages us to volunteer and recognize the people who do important things. On the other side of that double bottom line is also quite spectacular. It's a $75 billion economic imprint. We're larger than the GDP of Manitoba in these sectors, and we're larger than agriculture, mining, and forestry put together. That's a lot of jobs. It's a lot of money. I recognize that just because we're going to flick the switch and open that door doesn't necessarily mean people are going to come in. I say that the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism and Industries and Culture have been hit first, hardest, and will take the longest to recover from COVID-19 because we have a triple threat. This is first and foremost a public health crisis, and it is our jobs to wear our masks, to continue to hand sanitize and social distance. At the same time, as our cultural and tourism attractions and hospitality sectors start to reopen, they also have an obligation to ensure that the best safety measures are put in place. The second crisis we have is an economic crisis. We lost $20 billion almost overnight in this sector. Many of the people that we support are now on the CERB, or in some cases with surviving because of the wage subsidy. But make no mistake, these sectors lost hundreds of thousands of jobs. And the people that we look at and ask to bring us joy, whether that's an artist or an athlete, an archivist or an archaeologist, have seen their livelihoods almost destroyed. And finally, and this is why I'm here, is the social crisis. As Ontarians, we have done a tremendous job, demonstrated by the fact that we're all moving into stage 3, because we social distanced, we stayed apart, we self-isolated and quarantined. And after 4 months of doing that, we're able to see the bright light at the end of the tunnel to reopen the economy. But a lot of people are reticent. And that's why I view it as my job to make sure we continue to flow important festival and event funding, Trillium funding, and museum funding, so that in 2021, when we start to encourage people to feel safer in their own communities and they reconnect with their hyper-local tourism, that these institutions are here.
I just want to thank my good colleagues Sam and Lisa, and I will say that Lisa has been in our riding a number of times. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of these announcements with you, and it is so important, quite frankly, that as a minister you understand how important the Niagara region is to the overall wealth of the province of Ontario when it comes to culture, sports and tourism. And I want to thank you for coming into the riding. I want to thank obviously the museum for getting the $53,000. We know we need it, so thank you very much for bringing a check with you. That's always nice. But I think it's important that we have these events, that you're in our riding, and that you're making these announcements.
While we are working through the social and consumer confidence aspect of this pandemic to try to get more people to come back to visit Niagara-on-the-Lake for its cultural heritage, for its environmental beauty, and for its historical significance. We support you in everything that you are doing within your ministry to help Ontario.
You've been down here in, I think, every single stage since this reopening began, and I know that you're in it for the long haul. You know that this is not a sector that is going to recover very quickly from the impacts, the economic impacts, the social impacts of COVID-19, but you've always been very clear that you're a strong proponent of our local industries and the industries across the province that you represent.
What does your Ontario look like 18 months from now? Well, my Ontario in 18 months has museums, libraries, it has film and television production, it has soccer, it has cultural events, it has tourism. And in order for us to make sure that they're here in 18 months, it's imperative that we continue to flow funding.